पातशाही 10वीं प्रथम भगवती सिमर के गुरु नानक लई ध्याए अंगद गुरु ते अमरदास रामदास से होई सहाय अर्जन हर गोबिंद नो सिमरो श्री हर राय श्री हर कृष्ण ध्याईऐ जिस डिठै सब दुख जाए तेग बहादुर सिमरिऐ घर नौ निध आवे धाय 10वें पातशाह श्री गुरु गोबिंद सिंह महाराज पंथ दे वाली सब थाई हो जी सहाय दसां पातशाहियां दी जोत श्री गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी दे पाठ दर्शन दीदार दा ध्यान धर के बोलना जी वाहिगुरु हे निमाणियां दे माण निताणियां दी ताण निओटियां दी ओट निआसरियां दे आसरे कारण करण पिता वाहिगुरु जी आप जी दी अपार बख्शिश मेहर दा सदका साहिबल संगत जुड़ी है दतार पिता जी आप जी ਦੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਦੀ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਆਗਿਆ ਬਖਸ਼ਣੀ ਸਨਮਤ ਬਖਸ਼ਣੀ ਆਪ ਮਿਹਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਹੱਥ ਰੱਖ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਦੀ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਾਉਣੀ ਅੱਖਰ ਵਾਧਾ ਘਾਟਾ ਭੁੱਲ ਚੁੱਕ ਮਾਫ ਕਰਨੀ ਸਰਬੱਤ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਜ ਰਾਸ ਕਰਨੇ ਸਹੀ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਮਿਲਣੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਮਿਲੇ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਚਿਤਾਵੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਬਾਣੇ ਸਰਬੱਤ ਦਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਫਤਿਹ
ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਜੀ ਵੈਲਕਮ to another session of Khoj Gurbani. This is Ravinder Singh connecting from Columbus. What we are going to continue where we left last week, and last week we were at the last two lines of the 28th stanza, which is Munda Santokh Sarampacholi. I think we had touched on the last two lines, Ades Tise Ades. And we left it, I think where we all agreed, what we agreed to do was to pick up on it somewhere in today's discussion. So what I'm going to suggest that we do is we first read out the 29th Pauri in its entirety, and then I'm going to ask Dilpreet Singh to walk us through the Pauri on a line-by-line basis so that we are all on the same page insofar as the words are concerned and their literal meanings are concerned. We can then, at some point, dwell on the lines Ades to say Ades, since there is a refrain here in these four Pauris. So we need to kind of stop and pause and understand what is being said here, because the last time, if I recall correctly, Dr. Rajat Singh had suggested a meaning that was somewhat unconventional. At least speaking for myself, I had always thought that this was some sort of a salutation, Adanil, Ades to say Ades. And I just want to see what the panels thinks about it. So let me, without much ado, reach out to Dilpreet Singh and ask him to first read out the entire Pauri, and then to sort of take a few minutes to walk us through the literal interpretation of the text. Dilpreet?
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਜੀ ਭੁਗਤ ਗਿਆਨ ਦਇਆ ਭੰਡਾਰਨ ਘਟ ਘਟ ਵਾਜੇ ਨਾਦ ਆਪ ਨਾਥ ਨਾਥੀ ਸਭ ਜਾਂ ਕੀ ਰਿੱਧ ਸਿੱਧ ਅਵਰਾ ਸਾਧ संजोग विजोग दोए कार चलावै लेखै आवै भाग आदेश तिसै आदेश आद अनील अनाद अनाहत जुग जुग एको is. So now if we have to, let me take a shot at the word meaning. So the first word is ugat gyan. So there are two meanings here which are prevailing, and one is that Pugat is the food, or it is the instruction to the yogis that what you eat, the food, is your gyan. And then the another meaning of Pugat also is the vibhut, which yogis use to distribute or give it to the people, that you take this as a blessing. So I am more leaning towards the second one. So that Guruji is telling that instead of giving the ashes or vibhut, spread the knowledge, make people aware of things, and make them self-dependent. So Guruji is saying, and then Daya Pandara, and then spread this knowledge or make them self-dependent or help them with compassion. And Kat Kat Vaje Nad, again the yogis had an instrument, or it was called sinji, which they used to have in their they used to keep with them, and they used to play that before they eat food. So again, the Guruji is saying the sound which you are searching exists within everyone. One, and then, and the God you want to meet exists in everything around you. And then Guruji is again telling him, Aap Nath, he is the creator and he is the real Nath, real king. Nathi sab jaki, and everything is under his control. So Nathi represents the control, and then Rid Sid Avrasad. So it is of no use. And then in the second round, we can talk about what are the Riddhis or Siddhis. There were 8 Siddhis which Siddhs used to work on so that they can attain. And then Sanjog Vijog Doi Kar Chalave. It is the union of things and separation of things. Because of this union and separation, so it also represents the power of creation and destruction. Because of this, the whole existence or the things what we see around us is working. And this is how the universe is running. So lekhe ave pag, as we do things, we write our own destiny, and that is what we are getting. And then towards the end, Ades to say Ades, again, that is that I bow before him. Ad is from the beginning. Anil is, he is pure. Anad, he has no origin. Anahat, there is no end. Jugo Jug, always he was there, and he existed always. So that's how I see the word meaning, and I think in the second round we can touch on that, how it implies to us, or what are the other messages or powers, or what Guruji is expecting us to do, or the yogis to do on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dilpreet. Interesting. It seems to me that, as Dilpreet has pointed out, that Bhogat itself might have dual meanings, but in any case, the message is quite clear. This seems to be guidance to the yogis, and through the yogis to the rest of the world, to us as well, living in the 21st century, as to how we ought to live our lives. These are external markers that signify some internal feelings. But let me reach out to Eileen first to see what her take is, and what would you like to share with us based on what Dilpreet, based on the opener that Dilpreet has suggested. Eileen?
Oh, sure. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I had a similar interpretation. I guess a couple of challenges in the word meaning, but I thought the opening line was interesting. It to me is reminiscent of langar kind of idea, thinking about your actions, getting food, getting knowledge, connecting that to the creator. I took that sort of interpretation from the first line. It's hard, a little bit hard as I look at those lines sometimes, because there's a sentence structure is very poetic and hard to figure out. Is it take the knowledge or the gyan as your food? Is it who is the food giver here, and who is acting in compassion? A little bit unclear to me, but I have just a sort of a sense of it.
Well, I think you raise an interesting point, because I'm sort of asking a somewhat similar question. Is it?
Yeah.
Carry on.
Well, but overall, yes, I had a similar idea. I had one question though in the word meaning portion, because the word chalavahi leche, that part of the phrase, I wasn't able to get a good understanding of what that word means, or what that phrase means.
Which word are you referring to, Eileen?
Chalavahi.
Chilavahe?
Yes.
Chilavahe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't put it in context, and I couldn't figure out exactly what was meant by that portion.
We can certainly throw that out for the others to sort of pipe in. Gurjeet Singh Virji, do you want to share some thoughts, and especially on what Eileen was asking about doekar chalave hai? I think the word chalave hai in this context.
But I have to start from a bit behind because Bhogat has not been very clearly defined.
Hanji, please go ahead.
Because Bhogat has been used number of times, and the real definition should come from within the text. So I'll read you two panktis about Bhogat. Bhukti otherwise, because it's a Sihari, it has to be spoken. So Mukta Bhogat Jugat Hari now. Where you get the Bhukti from? You say Gyan, but where you get the Gyan from? What's the source of Gyan? The source of Gyan has to be a Ved, because Hari now is only discussed in Ved. Otherwise, if you read Simrit Sastra, which the third Guru Amar Das says, Simrit Sastra Punna Paap Vichar De Tatte Sarna Jani. Don't read Simrit Sastra. Veda mein naam uttam sa sune nahi. You have to read a Ved. And Jogi
so Viji, can you help us understand what does a Ved mean in this context?
Ved is a continuous rachana done by Gurmukh, started from Ved Vyas. And
does that refer to the four Vedas as well? I mean, the four
originally there was one Ved, then they divided into four. But there was only one Ved. And this Gurbani is a Ved itself. Because it praises in Japji Sahib when they say Ved Hathyar.
So is the recommendation then also for us to read the four Veds that have preceded the Guru?
No, this is a Ved. Gurbani is a Ved. We don't need to. Guru Nanak is suggesting either you get Gyan from me or you can read the Veds because it's reported. The pure text is in the Ved and then it will later get diluted. And which is very clearly mentioned in, as I quoted, that similar Shastra are a part of Ved, but they discuss few other things. The Naam has been further diluted because here they say Mukti Pukti Jugti Harinao. The Pukti is nothing but Harinao. This has been given an indication. There is another Pugt Naam Gur Shabd Vichari. That what is Pukti is nothing but the Naam, but from where you get the Naam? Gur Shabad Bichari. The text must be written by a Satguru Puran Brahm. Otherwise, you will not be getting the real sense. Tat Gyan is different. So Pukti is referred to as a food for soul, which is nothing but Tat Gyan. And then what happens is, once you get the Tat Gyan, then you start accumulating a pandara of it within you. Then you have to be dayavan, you have to be merciful, because yogis have got their own classes. No nath, they were 9 naths. This is if you say even 9 naths. So you have to break that shackles of, within you the classification. Because Gurbani says, Upadesh Chaun Varna Ko Sanja. The Varn was created by someone, but Gurbani doesn't. He says it's for everyone. You should be merciful. Guru Nanak has written this Bani, Bhagats have written the Bani. It's for everyone. It's not that only, particular class can read, others can't. So that's what I think is trying to indicate. Pogutgyan Daya Pandaran. That Pandaran is with the Sihari, it is a feminine word. That your wisdom must then distribute. You must come out of the class system. And with the Pogutgyan, you will also hear Kat, Vajjanad. Yogi used to think, as the preaching has indicated, that they used to blow a horn, a singi, but the nad is not in the singi. Kinkuri Anup Bhajya. That nad is beyond description. Anup means upma to pare. That is what you will hear, but that's not in the Trikuti. It comes from your kat. It will born out of your hirda. So they have broken two of his, whatever he was thinking, the nad will come from within 10th gate, which he thinks is in the head, but the 10th gate is in the hirda. That's what Gurbani is suggesting. Kat kat vajjan nad, aap nath. because they were calling themselves Naths. If you know in detail, Naths were born out of a you can say both the old yogis, they agreed to some of the ideas from Muslim or Islam, and those were Naths. So this, I think Guru Nanak is talking to Naths here. Nath, his own son was also Nath. He was influenced by Naths. So Nath has got an agreement between they can wear their own basically whatever they want to the faith, but they have to accept the Islamic ideology too. So Aap Nath, he says, you are not the Nath, don't call yourself Nath. There is someone else who is Nath. What he is do? Nathi Sab. He is controlling everyone through the hukam. So Nath is Hakam, controlling someone through the hukam. Nathi, then you have said Jaki Ridsid. You can't join Jaki here. Jaki is, he has also created Maya Ridsid. But that, if you are entangling yourself, that's a different taste. That won't get you to liberation. That won't let you hear the Nad. Ridsid Avra Sad. Sanjog Vijog Doe Kar Chalave. Now what the Jeev can do here, on his own, either he can create a Sanjog within himself, or he can stay in the state of Vyog. These are the only two actions. Kar means actions. Nanak Sache ki Sachi Kar. But when he's not Sacha, he's doing a Chuthi Kar. For that, he has to give the Lekha. Lekhya Vipag. If he's not becoming Puran Brahm here, and he still stays as a Jeev, he has to give basically the Lekha. He will get something indebted to him. Adesh, they say Adesh. The yogis used to do Adesh to each other. Whenever they see each other, they will do Adesh. But Nanak says, who is the right person to do Adesh? Ad, who is the Ad of the Srishti, who is the creator of the universe. Anil, and there is not one creator. There are billions, I don't know how many are sitting there, who are in the hukam. It's not one person's hukam. It's together, they're speaking in one tone. They are all in one sur. Ad, Anil is a number. Means unlimited. People are doing that hukam. And where the hukam is coming from? Anad. The hukam has an ad. Hukam doesn't stay forever. Hukam will stay for some time and then it goes back. Then it goes back to a state of Arbad and Arbad Sandukara. And then the hukam starts again. So hukam doesn't stay, but the jot is an ad. Jot doesn't have an ad. Anahat, and the jot can't basically be destroyed, can't be, disintegrated. Jug eko vase. But when the world is created, this is jug. The vase is of the jug, not of the jot. This will always stay there. So that's what I have to say for this Pauri.
Ajay, thank you, Ji. Viji, you've raised quite a few interesting thoughts. I am going to ask Viji Jaswant Singh Ji, who I see has joined us after quite a while. Viji, if you've heard Gurjeet Singh Ji out, then perhaps I would ask you to share with us your thoughts. There's a couple of things that have interested me, especially the reference to Ved, scriptures, reading, that the Ved has to be written by a Pura Sadguru, and my question, immediate reflex, is how do we determine who a Sadguru is? So some of these things, if you would sort of cover.
Okay, first of all, I would like to a little bit simplify the Pauri as I see myself. And to me, it is like, seems to be that from Pauri 28 onwards, Guru Nanak Sahib is having some sort of conversation with a group of yogis. And you might have covered the Pauri number 28
yes,
quite well.
We have.
Yep. Yeah. So let me just move on to this one. So I'm just trying to, how can we understand it a little more in a simpler way. So to me, we have to pick up few words first, which basically are coming from the yogis, or are the terms that the yogis, use. So the first one is Ugat. And to me, there should be no doubt about that. Bhagat, is, of course, refers to their food. The yogis distribute food when they have their gatherings and all those kind of things. So that is the Bhagat. Because also in the previous Pauri, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਵੀ it may refer to ashes. So ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਪਿੱਛੇ already ਆ ਚੁੱਕਾ ਹੈ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਕੀ ਕਰੇ ਵਿਭੂਤ. So that shabad is vibhut, very quite different from this. So here Bhagat is coming from the yogis, so that's their term. Bhagat means the food that they distribute. Second one is Pandaran. Pandaran literally means the one who distributes this food, who stores and who distributes this food, right? So in a sense, distributed. Then comes the Shabad next, Nad. So this Nad also refers to, see, one is that this refers to the conch that the yogis mostly have with them, and they blow it during the meal times or when they go for begging and so on. Secondly, this may also refers to that yogis most of the time they claimed at least to hear some sort of melody from within, that they call that there's a kind of nad or anhad nad kind of things. Then the next line, the word nath refers to the yogi's master. Mostly you can say the Gorakhnath, and at Pajinikia there were some other naths also. But here the word is nath in singular, so nath refers to the Gorakhnath because they bow to him as their master. Then the word comes Ridsid. This is also coming from the yogis part. So this is again Ridsid together can mean to be occult powers that the yogis mostly claimed to possess those powers. So in view of this, and also further if you like to say Sanjog and Vijog, also it's like the yogis when they meet together they call it be a Sanjog ho gaya, when they part away they call it Vijog. To me now Guru Sahib is having a conversation that what is Gyan or Bhagat for me or for our disciples, for my sakes, what is Pandaran for us, what is Nad for us, what is that Nath for us, and what is Ridsid for us. How does Guru Nanak look upon all these things? So he said Bhagat Gyan, that to me or to the people, that those who follow me, the Gurmukhs in that sense, Gyan is the Bhagat. And Gyan to me here may be very generically to mean wisdom, to mean divine wisdom, whatever it may be. Then comes Pandaran. So Guru Sahib puts in another virtue, that is compassion. That to me, ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ distributor है ना Pandaran, store ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲਾ ਤੇ ਭੰਡਾਰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਵਰਤਾਉਣ ਵਾਲਾ, ਉਹ ਆ ਦਇਆ, compassion. In a sense, when you are to share your wisdom, you must have compassion. That why you want to share. You are sharing it out of compassion for the people, for the humankind. Next is very beautiful. Guru Sahib said, Nad, the yogis are, very fan of listening or hearing to these kind of Nads. So Guru Sahib kahnde ne, but for me, I would like to take it very natural that kat-kat vajje hain. That already I see kat-kat is in every heart. That in every being, in every heart, there is some sort of pulsation, you can say, going on. Life force. So he says, I would like to say that those, the pulsations which are, which refer to a life force continuously pulsating in each and every heart, Guru Sahib said, that is Nad for me. Nath kaun hai? So he says now, Aap Nath, Nathi Sab Jaki. The creator himself, who has created and who has control upon everything, the entire creation, to me, he himself is my master. O mera nath hai, aap nath paramatma, nathi sab jaki, sari srishti jedi nati hui hai. Again now, what's his comment on Red said? Occult power. So he says to me, occult powers are something like divergence, something like very trivial kind of things that I would not like to go towards them, because I feel that they are the ones, or they are something which may astray you and may take you away from the ultimate realization and so on. Next he says Sanjog Vijog. So this may be taken as the laws of union and separation, or in scientific terms there are two other words, I think. It's like fusion and diffusion kind of thing, so that's the chemically how things are happening. So anyway, so this here he says the laws of union and separation are the ones which govern the entire creation, the universe. Sanjog te Vijog, they are the two systems, you can say, you know. So they are making the whole creation to be being created, to being operated, and everything in that sense. Lekhe ame pag. And then, in accordance with the cosmic order, we all receive whatever our share we have, you know, while we live in this world. So that's how I would like to, you know, look upon this. And next, the concluding lines ne Adesh, Tisai Adesh. Again, Adesh is word from the yogis. When they meet each other, they used to say Adesh, Adesh. So Guru Sahib again refer kar raha hai Adesh, Tisai Adesh. That in place of saluting any person, you know, or a yogi, he says, I would like to say, salute him. This is the creator. The his attributes, Ad, Anil, Anad, Anahat, and Jug Jug Eko, the one who is constant ever and ever.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you very much for that sort of simplified explanation. I think we are hearing some really marvelous sort of explanations, some referring to our inner state and some what we can do on the outside. Jasbir Kaur Penji, would you like to add anything to what has been said so far? Ravinder, is she on?
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह विकी
हाँ जी
हाँ जी सिंपली दिस मच हुन तक शब्द बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है सो फॉर मी अगेन पुगत ज्ञान is that knowledge food my food is that knowledge but again from the previous bodies there was a word ज्ञान की करें विभूत. So with that awareness, now I can realize basically which food I have to feed to my thoughts, to my mind, to my soul. So I'm aware about that food. It's which food my mind is taking, feeding to the thoughts. Is it healthy food or unhealthy food? So from here, I'm getting the awareness of myself, how my senses get weak, how I lose my patience. Then I will feed myself with that divine wisdom. Pugat Gyan. Gyan to me means to my man, and that man, when getting food means with that food growing, getting energy, getting growth, getting power to deal with what? With in family relations, in society relations, workplace, traffic. Now I am the witness of my mind. I am getting aware to my thought process. So this is Gyan which is giving me that strength to be always how to live in a aware state. So this Gyan now Daya Pandaran, when the man is getting like thought process is feeding with that knowledge, now that's Daya Pandaran. Daya to me, Daya to my senses. As in the body system, food is taken through the mouth and it circulates in all parts of the body. In the same way, when man is getting this divine knowledge, now this will distribute this knowledge to my each and every part of the senses, so that even now the senses are becoming too strong how to deal with outer world. So as Guru Nanak Pasha is giving yogis in the same time, they are giving me this awareness to how I have to deal with my outer world. So Guru Pasha is not saying only, he is saying, don't believe me, don't get agree or disagree, you can experience this now. So for me, Pugat Gyan is the knowledge for me, there to my senses, then again Kat Vaje Naad. But first, that Naad, I have to listen from my side. अपने अंदर नाद. And how अपने अंदर नाद? When that inner noise of conflict that is quiet, then I can hear my inner voice. That inner voice, that Jameer the Awaz, that is the naad, which is in everybody. But first I have to listen for me from my inside. So this is Pugat Gyan, Daya Pandaran, Kat Vaje Nath. Guru Pasha says, Jado apne andar sunai, Sant Sang Antar Prabdita. When I realizes God inside me, then I can realize outside and in each and every person. Aap Nath, Nathi Sabjaki. Now I realize that Nath, that Malak, that controller, that creator. When we read this Shabad, Tu Karta Sachiar Menda Sai. This is the realization. Earlier, there was another creator. Home was the creator. But now, you are the controller. You are the creator. You are the controller of my Hirde Rupi Srishti. I realizes that creator inside. Then I'll say, Aap Nath Nathi subject. Unless and until I haven't realized that creator inside me, how can I say you are the controller and you are the creator? So Aap Nath, you are the creator. Why you are the creator? Because you controlled, you are the controller of my all senses now. Sab Jhanki, all the senses are within your control now. Rid Siddh, Avra Sad, the Rid Siddh. The yogi were talking about the Riddhi Siddhi, but Guru Nanak Pasha is saying Riddhi Siddhi is Dusriyan da Sawad. Dusriyan da Sawad means this is the taste of the ego, this is the taste of the jealous, this is the taste of the uncontentment. This is not my taste. My taste is contentment. So then he says, Sanjog Bijog Doe Kaat Chalave. Union and separation. But union, this union with your divine food, man is getting strong and ready to merge into the soul. This union and Vijog. Which Vijog? Earlier it was separated. Why it was separated? Because of its ego. The realization of ego and detachment from the ego. These both of the process are under your control. You are the one who has given me the realization of my ego and made me able to get detached from that ego. Now this union is possible is because of your car, because of your hukam. Because of this hukam, this man is able to, or the becoming, going to the way of getting the direction of Mantu Jyot Sarup hai, apna mool pachan, and then get merged into the pag is, hun o pag, milan de pag prapat ho rahe. So Ades se Ades.
We'll come to other days because we're going to separate out some time for this discussion. But I appreciate your input. I think everyone on the panel has had a chance to sort of dwell on this very lovely Pauri. As I listen to all of you, I can't help but notice that there seem to be two rather distinct approaches, both, I suppose, equally valid in their own right. One is looking at things from the outside, and the other is dwelling on the inner life, as we call it. I want to come back to you with the first word that we were dwelling on, which is gyan, knowledge. I think we all agree that this is all about knowledge. So the real question is, which knowledge, what kind of knowledge? To me, there is the knowledge of science, which is evidence-based, which is empirical, which, involves the senses. And then I've heard some of you speak about, an inner knowledge, sort of an inner knowing. I would like to open up the discussion on what do we mean by that kind of knowledge? How do we acquire that knowledge which is not evidence-based? And I'm going to start by picking on Dilpreet first off, and then I'll make the rounds.
Hanji, it's a very good point. So, what I was thinking about this Pugat Gyan Daya Pandaran, that Guruji is trying to give us a lesson that we have to spread the knowledge, and knowledge word is very wide. It has a wide meaning. That if somebody needs help, then the right way to help that person is that I have to make that person self-sufficient and make them self-sufficient in a way so that they are not looking for help down the line. And if we are helping them and not making them self-sufficient, that is not the right knowledge. I am not using the right knowledge. So the story which comes to my mind is, we have a very prominent story related to Guru Nanak, that his dad gave him 20 rupees and to do the business, and he went there, and while he was going, he saw this sadhus or pandits or yogis, that they were doing simran, and they did not had food to eat, so he started a langar. So that is against the principles of Guru Nanak. That's how I see it, that he will never spend the money if he will the right knowledge or the right kind of help. He is teaching us that you make people self-sufficient. That is why Sikhism is do it yourself religion. We don't have any middleman. It is to teach ourselves to learn and implement on us. Nobody else can do anything on our behalf. So all of that rituals which is happening around us, he is trying to tell us that the right way to help someone is to make them self-sufficient, and that is where this Sanjog, Vijog, Doi Kar Chilave, that it is the creative power and the destructive power which is there existing here in this universe, which is responsible for how the things are running.
So Dilpreet, let me just stop you. So are you then equating knowledge to helping others? Is that what you're saying?
That's how I see it. That is the implementation. I see the implementation of knowledge. That it is that.
So you're assuming that knowledge is already dawned on this person. So my question really is, how is this knowledge acquired? Because I heard Gurjeet Singh suggest that we have to I think I heard him say, Guru Nanak telling the yogis, you can either get that knowledge from me or you can read the scripture, the Veds. So what I'm trying to drive at is this knowledge then simply, can be acquired through reading as well? I'm trying to get to the bottom of the distinction between knowledge that comes through the senses, or is there some other mode of knowledge acquisition here that is being talked about?
Right. See, I see Guru Nanak is very clear that he is asking us to adopt the guns or the characteristics. That is what are our principle or the framework, and once we are operating under that framework, the knowledge will get created, because he is giving us the framework to operate, and operating under that framework is the right use of knowledge. I think now towards the end of Japji Sahib, he is putting us more towards actions, and because previously he has talked us through that what that framework or knowledge is.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Eileen, let me come to you with the same sort of thought process here.
Sure.
about
Well, this is,
knowledge.
yeah, this is a dangerous one for me because, full disclosure, I have a degree in philosophy with a concentration in metaphysics and epistemology.
Ah,
I think about this one a lot because before becoming Sikh, I was agnostic. And when I had operated from a framework of knowledge that was either empirical and evidence.
Mhm.
So, I don't see Guru Nanak proving out or telling us, the world was created on, September 12th, 3,000 years ago. Here's your proof. This is not that kind of an approach, right? So then you go to the rationalists. The rationalist approach is of the mind and reason, right? So that's another way to proof or kind of know something. What's knowledge? And I don't have that either. I think that he sort of counsels away from that kind of calculus.
At least in matters pertaining to the universe and creation and so on.
Yeah, or just the way I think of sort of like a logic base. And so what I've come to in my belief and my interpretation is that it's an intuitive sense, and that's also kind of the way I think about the Creator being Nirankar and having no form. It's how do you know something that doesn't have a form? You know it through these characteristics, and you have to have an intuitive perception. So there's another sense that you're using, which is an internal sense, to where I feel sort of I go to words like, it resonates with me, or I hear that, I feel that to be true, I intuit that to be true. The truth, a different way to perceive truth, that is very, very, very mool and very beyond instinct, but somewhere between, my natural instinct and my processing mind. And that's also, I think, part of that. When we talk about this Pauri, the last Pauri, rather, Pauri 28, we talked about conquering your mind and how expansive that process is, conquering the world, conquering your mind, and the magnitude of that sort of was something I took away. And then I see here we're talking about Sanjog and Vijog, union with the Creator or separation from the Creator is kind of how I've been thinking about that, as two paths to walk, or two types of actions. Which are you going to write? How are you going to write your destiny? Are you going to write it with a path toward the Creator, or are you writing it with a path that is a separation from the Creator? And I think the only way that you know somehow intuitively, that you're building on that knowledge is that it's a leap of faith. It goes a step beyond the processes of the world and the Maya that we're used to. So that's my understanding.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, some of these issues do concern me a good deal, because I'm always curious as to how do I know that what I know is true, and to your reference to epistemology. But I think it's important because we take a lot of terms for granted, and that's why I want to sort of touch on these at least during this dialogue. So, just one thing, Vedji, would you want to comment on this?
I think very well said. And to me, Guru Sahib would not like to exclude anything. So to me, his approach towards Gyan is very, very inclusive. It includes 5 senses, which are practical and evidence-based, and it also includes intuition, the knowledge which you gain through experiences, which you gain from people, because he was very really fond of meeting people and talking to him, having conversations. And we believe that Guru Nanak definitely he has read all those scriptures and all those sources of knowledge available to him, including the Vedas and including the other scriptures. And you can say for us at the foundation, we can say the Gurbani is one of the best sources for us of this Gyan, of this wisdom that we are talking about. But again, it is not going to exclude the scientific knowledge or whatever the knowledge we can gain from the world. Yep.
Hanji, thank you, Ji. Virji, Gurjeet Singh Ji, I'm coming back to you. Some of what triggered the thoughts in my mind were things that you had mentioned. So you've heard me speak. So do you want to comment?
Yeah, I'll just give you 3 panktis. They don't need much explanation. If they do, you let me know. This is Guru Nanak's Shabad. Bhai re gur bin gyan na hoi, Ucho Brahme Narde, Ved Vyase Koi. Gurbani has given status to Ved Vyas. So either you read his, if you can get a hand onto his granths, or you read Gurbani, because Gurbani refers Ved Vyas as one of the Gurmukhs, and also Narad. Narad is a Gurmukh, whereas when you read a Hindu scriptures, Narad has been made almost like a joker. Narad means Narad. Jide bachan rad nahi ho sakde. You can't say he has said something wrong. Another one, if you want, which we read in our lamas before that, Agyan andhera katya gur gyan prachand balaya. We don't need the gyan of Maya. Jaki rid sid avra sad. You don't think Maya, any granth from Maya can give us mukti, because they only Jaki rid sid. If you want to read the word how Ja has been used in Gurbani 1135 times, the best Padshad will be Aap Nath Nathi Sab Jaki Ridsid. Don't get into the Ridsid. You will never get Mukti. That is some other taste. So the only Gyan is available in the Ved, and Gurbani is a Ved. And if you say I can read one more, Gur Gyan Prachand Balaya Agyan Andhera Jai. So these is enough references in Gurbani. If you just go and type the word Gyan with an onkar, you will know what Gyan means. Gyan comes from Satgur. Satgur ki Bani Sat Sarup hai, Gurbani bani hai. If someone else is speaking other than Satgur is Puran Brahm, we don't need to listen to his Bani, because it will give us into Ridsid Avarasad. So Gur Gyan is what is in Gurbani, or it was in the Veds. Otherwise, there is a problem. Kabir ji has said, Ved ki putri Simrati Bhai, Sakal Jevri Leh Ai. If you read Simrati, you will be stuck in this world. Read Ved. No availability of Ved, Gurbani is the best readily available Ved to us. So we are so lucky.
So how is one, who's not aware of this distinction, how is one to make this distinction? You just referred to Maya, the scriptures of the works of the Maya. How would you advise somebody who is not aware of these distinctions?
This is, if we trust in Gurbani, the first thing is, Satgur ki Bani Sat Sarup hai. Satgur ki Bani Sat Sat Kar Jano Gur Sikho. If you trust Gurbani, then only I can tell someone, but if you don't have a trust in Gurbani, it will be hard to take anyone further. Because ultimately, if you have hunger, you will ultimately come to this source. One, you may go here and there, but ultimately you will ask for, is there another source? Is there another source? You will ultimately reach this stage. We are lucky, but we don't appreciate that we have directly a first-hand information from Parmeshwar straight away. But we haven't explored ourselves, and unluckily we haven't been telling anyone else either.
Thank you, Ji. This is obviously a subject that is inexhaustible in some senses, and yet in some ways very simple to comprehend. I am going to ask Harvinder. Harvinder had suggested that we need to take a pause on the last two lines, the refrain that comes through. So Harvinder, we have about 10 minutes. How do you want to approach this?
I think either we can, I think Dilpreet Virji and I think Gurjeet Virji already covered the last two lines.
Okay.
We can go to Jaswant Virji and Jasbir Kaurji for
Okay.
that version. And also I think we didn't cover Jasbir Kaurji for Gyan part. If you want to go to her for second round, otherwise we can directly go to last two lines.
Hanji, Benji, do you have anything to add to the discussion we've had around knowledge and Gyan?
Only a single point, that there is a Pankti, Gur Sabha ev na paiye, na nede na dur, Nanak Satgur ta mile, ja man rahe hadur. So this Gyanis always live in this feeling of feeling the presence of that Malik. So this will give us that awareness. So how I get separated, where I am weak, how I lose my patience, getting aware of myself. This is the basically, for me, this is the divine knowledge.
Anji, thank you, Ji. Anji, just one thing, Veji, do you want to take a stab at the last two lines? We had sort of wanted to put some time aside as to what really is being said here.
Yeah. Okay. So, to me, again, the Guru Sahib, it should be taken, and it has to be taken as a conversation, between some of the yogis and the Guru Sahib himself. So again, as I said before, yogis मिलते हैं ना आपस में, so they pronounce this word Ades, Ades. So Guru Sahib here, says that in place of saluting and bowing before any individual, he says that for me, Ades, Tisai Ades, Tisai is the him, the only, the creator. And who is that Tisai is being defined in the next line. Who has these characteristics? Ad, Anil, Anad, Anahat. And the fifth one is Jug Jug Eko ways. So Ad is like, who is the beginning of everything, everyone. Ad. Anil yeah.
I have a quick question for you. So Dr. Ajit Singh is not with us this week, but last week he had translated, because one of the meanings of Adesh is to instruct, Upadesh Dena, Adesh Dena Kaseno.
Oh.
And he had sort of brought that up, and I want you to sort of comment on that.
I mean, looking at literally as the words are there, I don't see that there is any possibility of that sort of Adesh, because the word Adesh, Tisai Adesh, right? ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਬਣਿਆ ਵੀ ਆਦੇਸ਼ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਰੋ, ਕਿਹੜਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਦ ਅਨੀਲ ਅਨਾਦ ਅਨਾਹਤ ਜੁਗ ਜੁਗ ਏਕੋ ਵੇਸ.
But could this line mean ਕਿ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਆਦੇਸ਼ ਦੇ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਦ ਹੈ ਅਨੀਲ ਹੈ ਅਨਾਹਤ ਹੈ ਜੁਗ ਜੁਗ ਏਕੋ ਵੇਸ. I'm trying to speak for, I'm not trying to put words in his mouth.
Yeah. But to me that cannot be, because tisai ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਆ ਗਿਆ, tisai means him. So Tisai is not you. ਜੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ wordings ਹੋਣੀ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਉੱਥੇ. So the Tisai is him. Salute and salute only the one, him, who is Ad, Anil, Anad, Anahat, Jug Jug Eko. So I mean, to me it's very clear, and both the lines should be read together. Ades, Tisai Ades, whom, who is Ad, Anil, Anad, Anahat, and who is Jug Jug Eko is constant.
That makes eminent sense. I wish you were here, because Tisai, I think, kind of solves it all.
Yeah.
Hanji Gurjeet Singh, with you, please go ahead.
One is Adesh and another is Adesh. So Adesh word means what I think.
Vijay, can you start again? We lost you for a minute. Can you start all over again, please? Oh, we've lost him again.
So it's a difference, Adesh and Adesh.
Adesh. Okay, so there you go. ठीक है जी.
And Guru Nanak also says Adesh Baba Adesh. He's written a Shabad as well.
Correct. Dilpreet, do you want to add anything to this?
I am good, Ji.
You're good, okay. And just be called Panji. We've got a few more minutes.
For Jug Jug Eko ways, Gurbani ਵਿੱਚ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਜੁਗ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ. ਜੁਗ ਚਾਰੇ ਫਰਮਾਈ and ਜੁਗ ਜੁਗ ਫੇਰ ਵਟਾਈ ਹੈ. So bin satgur seve bahta dug laga jug chare parmai. These 4 ages, but these are not the outer ages. These all are my state of mind. Sometimes I am in Kaljughi Avastha, sometimes I am in duality, sometimes I feel Triguni attraction. But when I am aware with this Pugat Gyan, I realizes my Kalyugi duality and attraction of Triguni Avastha, then this is Jug Jug Fair Vataiye Gyani Bujhe Tae. You can come into that state of mind, that always in one state of mind. Jug Jugnu Vatauna. Kalyug to again in one state. If you are in duality, you can come to that Satyugi Avastha or peace, blissfulness. contentment feeling. Thank you, Ji.
Thank you, Ji. Harvinder, we have 5 more minutes left. I pretty much, I think I don't have any other point to raise. Do you have any?
I
ये
think
तेरे पीछे कहाँ पे बोल रहा है यार?
I think there must be a disturbance, but I think uh, uh, we are good. I think unless you want to give everyone like 30 seconds to wrap up today's discussion, we can
So
move to.
let me open it up for a final wrap up on this Pauri. Does anybody have anything, last comments to make? Eileen, do you have anything to say?
Well, I just appreciate the comments that were really eye-opening for me to to remember the social justice message and message in talking to these yogis. I think I was missing that element when I was reading, and I thank Gurjeet Singh Ji for that. Well, everyone's comments really blended together for me, so I just I'm thankful.
Okay, and thank you for your input. Anji, just one thing, Ji.
I think I'm okay. It's
Okay.
already covered. Yeah.
ठीक
We
है,
should
thank you,
see.
Ji.
Yeah, in a sense, we should see the external activity and symbolism of yogis being replaced with some sort of values and virtues by Guru Sahib, like wisdom, compassion, and all those things.
Hanji. Thank you. Hanji, Jasbir Kaur Bhenji, any final 30 seconds?
Thank you, Virji. Thank you. I'm good.
Hanji, Gurjeet Singh Virji.
Hanji Virji, the Anad Shabad is worthwhile to understand क्योंकि नाद तो अनाद बनिया शब्द. There is a state when there is no nad in the Srishti. So if we understand an ad word like that, will I think make some more deep sense in understanding ad, anil, anad, anahat. It is a state in which Jyot has got no nad in it. But then Oang ka Oang Nana Gurmukhi Kiyo Akara. Then it has taken a form of the Shabad. That is when it is in the Nad state. That's when the Jug starts. I just want to add this much.
Thank you, Ji. Haji Dilpreet, any last thought?
So only one other last thought is I was reading Professor Sahib Singh and he has talked about the 8 siddhis. So I would recommend if anybody wants to understand what those 8 siddhis are, we can read him, and he has explained that, and he has said that they wanted to become small, big, and power, and also he has given a very good reference to those 8 siddhis. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji. Hanji, Harvinder Singh Ji.
Anji, I am good, Ji. I learned a lot.
Acha Ji. And like Harvinder, I want to tell all of you how grateful I am to be able to listen to each one of you with your viewpoints and how much really it has altered my own way of thinking for the better. So thank you again for another wonderful, wonderful session. And I hope that we can continue this on. So with that said, we will converge again next week and take on the next Pauri, which is Eka Mai Jogtviyai Pintele Purwan. Until then, Fateh Purwan Karni ji, Vaheguru ji ka Khalsa,
Vaheguru ji ki Fateh.